Yesterday in the evening, we were observing a couple of monkeys. Very interesting, fascinating creatures. And there was this whole family, mother, father, and two children, who were just jumping from one branch to another in search of food and, completely exhausting all the energy, or let me say, utilizing all the energy. The most majestic thing to observe here is how spontaneous these creatures are. Because they do not worry about the future and they take action in the moment. So, one of the baby monkeys, as he was being taught by his peers and by his father, would assess a branch's strength and then jump. Now, a monkey is not worried whether this will be bad for me in the future, whether this will create problems in my career growth or relationships. The monkey lives in the moment. However, what we humans have is the monkey mind that does not live in the moment, but it lives either in the dead past or in an imaginary future. And that is where our trouble begins. So, when the mind is lurking in the dead past, we are full of sadness, sorrow. And when the same mind moving through the present is into an imaginative future, that is what we call as anxiety. So another name for anxiety is what if. What if this happens? What if that happens? When we live with what if instead of what is, that is called suffering. That is called living in pure imagination. Masters say yielding relieves suffering. But what does yielding mean? In my concept, yielding means to completely let go of the outcome. It does not mean passivity. It does not mean that you are not supposed to take an action about a given situation. What it means is that despite taking all the actions that you thought would work, the outcome may not be what you want. When you move with total surrender, that means let universe bring me whatever it wants to bring. All I'm going to do is respond with gratitude, with folded hands, and say thank you. And I think there is a beautiful quote by Meister Eckhart where he says that the greatest prayer is to just say thank you to whatever life brings. So life can bring challenging relationships. Life can bring feelings of uncertainty, feelings of instability. But these feelings, if you observe deeply, the uncertainty, the instability, or let's say whatever life is offering in the moment, they usually come out from our own center, the center which I call as the me. This center is basically an accumulation. It is all based on memory. What is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong. This center is a movement away from the present moment. So it is usually future oriented thinking, which says that if I don't take corrective steps today and protect myself, I may lose something. I may not be safe. And in that quest for safety, what it loses is peace. But when we yield, when we accept the situation for what it is, and of course we take steps, whatever steps are needed in a given situation, but fully knowing that the outcome may not be what we want, it is then that we truly get to know what yielding is. Yielding is a spontaneous movement. It is not brought about by thought. It is not a contemplative action. Now, contemplation may help in practical matters. For example, let's say if your car breakdowns in the middle of the road, first thing that will bring you tremendous relief is accepting that this has happened. If the mind is caught up in fear and it says, oh my God, my car has broken down, what am I going to do? How am I going to reach home? I hope, I hope I don't meet some antisocial or unkind people. I hope I'm safe. If mind is caught up in that anxious loop, it will never be able to take practical steps to understand the situation and come up with a rational solution. So when that yielding happens, the emotions subside. So when the emotions subside, the logic becomes strong. The headspace, the creative working headspace, which I call, becomes activated. So in that moment, one can either reach out uh, for help or take any step that is required to get out of that situation. Being caught up in fear, in anxiety, in futuristic imagination, we usually do more damage. We take Sometimes we take steps without adequately thinking, and that then creates more suffering. So first step is to look at the problem in totality, whether it is relationship or work life stress or anything that we are facing in life. First is to see the problem in totality and to see how am I contributing to this situation. With most people, their defenses are so strong that they immediately unleash an attack on the other. They were like, okay, my problems are because my boss is not good, my husband or wife is not good because they do this, they do that. So that's all fear based, the fragmented mind contemplating thinking, which usually results in more suffering because either you lose a job or a relationship, it costs you financially, it takes away your well-being, it gives you restlessness, sleeplessness, and you are so caught up in that suffering. Why me? Why did God do this to me? Does not God love me? So that me center, me, why did God do this to me? does not let us sit in quiet and allow the rational mind to come up with a practical solution. So, yielding does not mean things going according to my idea. Yielding is instantaneous, it's spontaneous. It is okay, so be it. So, in any moment when you're encountering turbulence in life, in any form, when you say, so be it, what you will realize is that not much has to change. What you can do is act based on whatever knowledge you have presently about a given situation. Let's say if you are in a job where things are challenging or you're not getting the satisfaction that you want and you want to start something artistic or you want to switch over to another job, all that requires is you sitting in quiet contemplation, sitting in mindfulness and seeing the situation for what it is, rather than trying to fix things. Because when we try to fix things, we get more and more embroiled in that thinking separative dynamic of the ego mind. Because we put a condition, we say that things, I'm going to be okay only when things are a certain way. Until things don't happen according to my wants and wishes, I will not be happy. You see, happiness has nothing to do with what is happening externally. Happiness is beingness, which means beingness is of the highest value. It does not need addition of anything. So you may be sitting here right now, going through a hard time. You may be thinking that I have lost a relationship or a job or something, even loss of a loved one. And the ego mind, the separative mind, I would like to call it the separative mind, would say that something of value has been lost. Something that brought value to your life has been lost. Challenge this concept. Challenge this thought. What is truly valuable cannot be lost. Peace that is lost because of external circumstances being a certain way is a worthless peace. It is of no value. What is whole, what is substantial, what is of highest value cannot be lost because it is not gained in the first place. It was always there and it will continue to be there. So when you put light on that which cannot be lost, what you find is that you are free from this movement of time that moves like a pendulum between past and future. Then you see that there are really no problems. There is simply what is in its whole completeness, beauty, stability, and nothing needs to be done. Nothing needs to be fixed. Till there is a fixer, there will be problems. Because fixer is divided mind. I'm going to explore this area. There's a lot of beauty and quietness here, and I will connect with you soon. Take care.